Hello to my friends out there. Not sure whether you're tuning in right now, okay, but essentially, I'm actually tonight going to share how I actually entered the industry, right, and basically why I'm still in the industry, okay. So this story of mine actually started way back in 2013. I graduated from NTU in 1996, and then I actually went to do my master's in business administration in 2003. So I actually spent 17 years in the telecom industry, right? So the masters of business administration was actually part of the so-called the corporate ladder process, where I thought that, hey, after an engineering degree, I would probably just go on to get a master's. So that's what I did in 2003, right? So I actually spent altogether 17 years in the telecom industry from 1997 to about 2013, right? What happened was that I started from essentially when I was in telecommunications, I started from the back end. I was actually engineer, right? Engineer by training because I graduated from computer engineering in NTU, and then after that I was went on to pre-sales in 2006, and about I think in 2007, 2008, 2010 I actually moved into sales. So I did everything that I could in telecommunications, but in 2013 the US company that I was working for, I was actually let go of by the company. So after that, the natural thing for most people who reach middle age and you're in middle management, it's like for me, I was at a stage back in 2013. So what I did was I actually polished out my CV, because my CV was like for except for my first job in 1996, all the rest of my jobs were all with referrals. So I didn't actually have to do up too much on my CV. And what I did was that then I polished my CV, I sent out. So in Singapore, when you reach middle age and you send out your CVs, a lot of the companies will think that either you are too old or your pay is too high, and they think that you're not suited or you're too overqualified. So I sent out a lot of CVs, and finally I actually got, hello Irene. Okay, so I actually got two interviews. So one interview was actually by one of my company's competitors, right? And they actually said that, hey, Dennis, we want to hire you. So what they did was that I went through 5 rounds. Okay, it was 5 rounds of interviews, from the hiring manager to the global head of sales to the HR. I went through 5 rounds, and then after that, they say, Dennis, we like you, but the thing is that we actually cannot afford to we can't afford to hire you right now because we have a headcount freeze. So I tell you what, why don't we do this? When we actually get another project, then we justify the headcount, then we will hire you lah. So that was like, so what does it mean? Does it mean that I actually have to actually have to wait? So the hiring manager said, yes, you have to, I will inform you, don't worry, we like you. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So there was only one interview out of many, and then after that, subsequently the second interview came, right? And this was the interesting one. This was the one that actually drove me in a way indirectly to real estate. So after that, I went through 2 rounds of interviews, right, for the second interview. First one, two with Hong Kong heads in Asia Pacific, right? Then the third one was actually with Israeli vice president of sales operations, right? Now the thing is that despite spending 17 years in the telecom industry, right? Because telecom industry, actually there is there's actually IT involved. The technology is actually constantly changing. You know how fast IT changes, right? So what happened is that the interviewer asked me, because the whole 17 years, I was like this. So when I started, I did everything. Then over the years, right, I narrowed down to a specific niche, right? So over here, this part, I'm actually very, very good, very expert on this. But the rest of it, right, this part, right, I was a bit lost. I mean, as I didn't catch up as fast with the technology. So I was asked a lot of questions over here. This part, I was okay. I was asked a lot of questions over here. Then after that, I told the interviewer, I said, well, these are knowledge I can pick up. I have experience. I'm quick in learning. I can actually pick up the information. So towards the end of the interview, then he asked me, I asked him, I already asked him, I said, so may I know what's the next step? Then he says, okay, we will schedule for either a fourth or fifth interview with a technical manager and a HR. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, because actually the interview was actually done over iPad. He was in US. I forgot to tell that. Say he was in US, I'm in Singapore, like around this kind of timing. So after that, I hang up the call on my iPad. It was a video conference call, and I remember at that point of time back in 2013, I was a bit stunned. Why was I stunned? Because despite spending 17 years in the telecom industry, that interview made me feel that I'm so tiny, right? Because it's like I was like wasn't worth anything, despite being middle management in charge of for briefly Asia Pacific and then Southeast Asia as a whole for sales. I was completely like, okay. So my mind was already turned after that interview, the interview with that second company, and subsequently, what happens after that is that, no, as usual, you online, you search for jobs, and then you flip on the newspaper, and then one fine day when I was flipping over the newspaper, right, then I saw a newspaper advert. Okay, I think Kevin Chai is here. Yeah, so basically, I saw this advert by my upline Kevin Chai, right, and he says, career seminar. I remember the advertisement was career seminar for property agents. So I was thinking to myself, hey, since I don't have a job and I'm free, why don't I just go and just listen to it, right? So I went. I remember the night there were a lot of people, right? And then after, I remember the night Yong Hock was also there, right? Actually, Yong Hock said a joke about property and insurance, but that one is, I think, not so convenient to share here lah. But basically what happened is that after that, Yong Hock gave his speech, and then Kelvin Chai gave his speech, and then after that, everybody left. I still remembered only myself and another person, together with Kevin Chai's divisions, all the managers, right? We actually went downstairs to the ground floor where the fountain is, and the other guy asked Kevin, so basically, how much is your top performer making per month, right? So Kevin actually mentioned a figure, right? But after that, we just went our separate ways. But I was telling myself, hey, that figure that the top performer was earning was about, maybe at the time in telecommunications, I was earning a five-figure pay, a 5-digit pay. So I was thinking, well, if I have like a 1/5 of the power of this 1/5 to 1/8 of the power, was it 1/5? I think it was 1/5 or 1/6 the power of this top performer every month. Then I can actually earn about the same. I mean, I can earn about the same as what I'm earning. So I said, okay. Then I actually went for the course. I went for the course, RES course, and then after that, I went for the exam. Right. Now during the exam part, this is one thing that okay, even though the exam syllabus has changed since then, but in 2013 itself, right, there were actually 7 modules. Right, every month there was actually a RES exam. So I, together with 6 other RES, we actually took up 1 module each. So we begin to specialize in our own module, and then we get together, we study together, we actually test each other. Actually, this so-called working together when we are studying for the exams, right? This is actually very much similar to how in actual life you actually co-broke with agents. You work as a team to actually achieve results. So end up, out of the 7 of us, 5 of us passed the first time, including myself, and then another 2, one failed both papers, and then one failed one paper. But eventually, these 2 also didn't carry on in the industry. So the 5 of us stayed on in the industry even until now, right? So after that, I came to the industry, right? And then because I tell myself one thing, I was middle age, right? And I could have a choice, okay? Because after I passed the exam, right, then the first company that interviewed me actually called me. They said, hey, Dennis, now we have got a new project, and now we can really justify hiring you already. So would you like to actually come down to the office and, we sign the papers and things like that? Then until I passed the exam already. So I was telling myself, hey, if let's say I spend 17 years in the real estate industry, is different from 17 years in the telecom industry. Because if I spend 17 years in the industry, not only will I have a network of clients or customers, or right, assuming that my service is continuously tip top, right, my clients, my friends all follow me, right. If I maintain that high level of standard performance, right, and I build a team, right, in 17 years, people look up to you and say, wow, this is actually an industry veteran. It will be a completely different feeling to what I have when I spent 17 years in the telecom industry. So anyway, I told myself, I told the hiring manager for the first job that interviewed me, I said, I'm sorry, I've actually decided to go the path of real estate. I'm not coming back to the telecom industry because at the end of the day, the time I was still thinking, if I want to so-called, in Chinese, right, we call it 金盆洗手, 金盆洗手, like if you're in the what the term they use in those kind of Hong Kong dramas, right? If you want in the secret society, you want to quit, but you want to 金盆洗手, you actually cannot get out of it. So for me, I was always wondering how could I actually get out of the telecom industry, and then end up this thing happened. I was let go by my previous company and my previous industry. Then I told myself that okay, this is probably a chance, right? Because if I wanted to wait until I reach 50 plus or 60 plus and then I entered the real estate industry, I may not have the energy or the desire or the hunger to actually push as hard, right? So then I told myself, I'll say, okay, I'll just take a risk. I'll take a risk. I'll say goodbye to the telecom industry, and I'll just plunge head on into the real estate industry. And of course, I spoke to quite a number of people, different agencies, and different mentors, and then eventually I decided to go with PropNext because I identify certain values and certain culture of PropNext which I like, right? And also eventually I went with Kevin Chai, right? So the thing is that the first year, like, let me talk a bit about my first year. First year was really tough. I had an assumption that because I spent 17 years in telecom industry, so my contacts, I will be able to leverage on those contacts, but not many of those contacts really have a very vested interest in real estate at that point of time. So then my first year was terrible. I wouldn't want to say too much about it, but I didn't produce much the first year. Second year was a little bit better. I think I doubled my first year sales, which was a bit miserable, but I doubled. But subsequently, the third year onwards, right, and now actually right now in my sixth year, the third year onwards was actually better, right? This could be due to a couple of reasons. First of all, it's about also experience, right? You get more experience as you go on, and then also it's very important that you are with the right people, you have the right culture, you have the right team, right? Over in the Kevin Chai division, I have a very good upline, I have a very good mentor, I have very good teammates around me, and of course, those of you who are familiar with PropNext, you know that for us, our emphasis on training, our culture, our sharing, this is basically this is something that is very, very hard to find. Okay, so I shouldn't go too much into that, but basically the thing is that I became better from the third year onwards. So some of my friends who actually called me, I think they contacted me during the second or third year. Then they asked me, they say, Dennis, are you still in the real estate industry? And I said, yes, I am. Right. So then they say, oh wow, okay. Now the reason why they say yes or wow is because okay, I may not be correct on this thing, but what I understand, I feel is that as a real estate agent, as a property agent, right, if you actually cannot survive the first 2 years, right, usually you quit by the third year. I mean, generally statistics are like that, right? Okay, there's some people who do very well in the first year, but if let's say for example, if you continue to don't do well beyond 2 years, right, normally you just quit, right? So it began to get better for me from the third year onwards, so on and so forth, right? So now I will say that okay, basically because there's this thing called the 20/80 rule, 20%, 20/80 rule. So what the 20/80 rule applies to a lot of things in life. Like for example, if you have a group of people, right, only the 20%, for example, they're the ones who are so-called considered the top tier or something like that, right? While the other 80% doesn't make it or something, right? So basically for me, I'm not at the very, very top yet. I'm still striving for the very top. right? Consistently, I have been in the top 20% in prom next. So of course, I want to do better, right? So the question right now, I think the next thing I want to address is that um, if you are someone who you could be very young, you could be in your 20s, right? You graduated from the university, or you could graduate from the poly, and then you probably think, what am I going to do? You know, do I really want to do what I studied in the U or the poly, right? Or you could be someone which in the 30s or 40, where I was 40 when I actually joined the industry, or you could be even older, right? But the thing is that is this industry suitable for you, right? Of course, you have to be very people oriented. I think this is to me this is the number one criteria, because if you are not, then you will find it very hard to actually survive. I mean, other skills that you can actually learn as you go on in the industry, right? Because your uplines and your sidelines and the Promnex leaders or the agency leaders will actually be able to teach you. And then, of course, in the process, you'll also be your network. But I think the attitude, the person, do you have the personality to actually be in this industry, right? That will actually determine whether you are doing okay, whether you do very well, or you simply suck, right? So ultimately, some of my friends say, hey, you know, doing real estate as a real estate agent, you as a property agent is actually very tough because you have to work on weekends, you got to do viewing on weekends. So it's like it's like you're working all the time, you know. So the thing is that I tell some of these friends, it's like yes, sometimes over weekends. I mean, of course now it's different with circuit breaker. We do virtual viewing, Zoom, and things like that. But I tell my friends, I say, hey, I can actually go to the shopping mall. I can actually watch movies during the weekdays when it's not so crowded, right? And if I bring my mom to watch movies during the weekdays, right, it's half price, seniors half price, right? So what's so bad about that? You know, I can actually choose and determine my own off days. Of course, for us, we are always client centric, we are customer focused. So of course, if there's a need to, if we need to attend to a client's concerns, we basically we need to solve solutions. We need to provide solutions for them. So if we need to do it, we need to do it, right? For example, let's say if tonight is my mom's birthday, right? All my sisters all gather, and they want to, you know, they want to really celebrate, and then all of a sudden a buyer says, they say, hey, I want to view your seller's house in, say, Orchard Road, right? And then I'll be like, okay, this is actually very important because this house, the seller wants to urgently sell it, and then this is the only one viewing also so far for after listing. So then I'll probably tell my sisters and my mom and say, hey, you all go ahead to the restaurant first, okay? Once I settle, I'll come and join you. This is only just a very, very minor example. You know, I ever have this one of my teammates. I think if he's watching this now, he might know this story is referring to him. He actually planned a trip with his wife overseas, and then I think what I recall is that he had to close a very important deal. So what I also recall is that he actually canceled the trip. He had to apologize to his wife, right? So these are the kind of things that for us, because we are like individual business entities by ourselves. So everything is actually a business decision, right? You basically you have the ability to choose what you want to work on, who you want to work with, right? When you're working for someone, right, you actually do not have a choice. As in, for example, if your boss says, hey, I need to come back Saturday, Sunday to actually help me to settle this thing, this time deadline, because it's coming already, you have to come back and do it, right? You don't have much of a choice, right? Especially if you're under pressure for him to write a very good appraisal for you at the end of the year. So you probably say, okay, I'll come back, and that kind of thing, right? Unless you want to quit the job. For us, we answer to our network of clients, our network of co-brokers. So we have the responsibility. But at the same time, we have also, as I mentioned again, we have the decision to make. We owe our destiny to ourselves. We owe the decision to ourselves. If we basically make the wrong business call, that's it. That's business gone, right? So ultimately, as a real estate salesperson or property agent, you need to have certain attributes in order to even survive, and then from there on, how well you do depends on how much bullets you have, how much resources you have, your network, your team support. I think that's very important. uh, I think that basically, the other thing also to add is that for real estate property agents, while we don't have a basic income, so this is something that deters a lot of people that says, wow, this is tough, you know, I don't feel secure in actually not having a basic income. But again, this is actually the employee mindset. Again, no offense, nothing wrong with working for someone, right? But the thing is that if you want to be a property or real estate agent, you have to change your mindset. You yourself, you are a business. You are yourself is you have business costs. You run your own business. You decide yourself, right? So if you don't have a basic pay, you have to work for your pay, right? That ultimately is the thing. So you have to be prepared for that. How much money do you need to have in reserve before you come to this in the industry? Well, the rule of thumb, some people will give as minimum, you must at least have 6 months of pay savings, right? 6 months of your previous pay or whatever, right? But the safer thing would be 1 year, because there's chances that during the first year you might not do well enough to actually make what you actually earn in your previous industry, right? So it's always better to have about 1 year of reserves review, right? So again, it's all about when we enter this industry, because you don't have basic pay, so you are actually running your own business. You are actually working very hard for your family and for your loved ones. This is something that always drives me, because for me right now I only have my mom, right? So I think the important thing also is that you must have very good family support, right? My mom has been a very, very, very strong pillar of support for me, right? In the first 2 years when I entered industry, I basically didn't have much allowance to actually give her, right? So this was the thing that actually was very tough, right? But the thing is that I also have one colleague who passed the exam, but essentially what happened to her was that her husband actually did not allow her to continue with real estate. So this is something that I felt was a pity. But family support is very important when you enter the real estate industry, because as I say again, there's no basic pay, right? So but the thing is that our earnings, actually there's actually no limit, right? Maybe for example, some days or some weeks we don't make anything at all, right? But there could be some months or some weeks where we make a lot, right? Because I'm sure you guys have seen that there are some agents who make millions, right? There are some agents who also struggle. But to me, I always feel that end of the day, you aspire to be able to reach the levels of those very, very top performers, right? But at the same time, it's like you actually fighting your own battle, right? Because you can aspire, but you don't always compare, and then you feel like, oh, can I? No, you just tell yourself that I have to do it. Why? Because I have my wife, my mom, I have my children to feed. So this has to be the driving force that drives you. Nobody else can motivate you except for yourself. Because if you constantly rely on people to motivate you, and you enter this industry, right, I tell you, it's very challenging, right? So you constantly have to self-motivate. How you self-motivate, different people have different ways of motivation. Different people have different ways of releasing stress. I have my own way of releasing stress. Those people who know me know what is my favorite hobby, right? So, so far 6 years, I have been pretty happy, right? And this year, I think should be, year on year, I'm actually getting better. This year, I think should be my best year out of 6 years. So there's still another 6 more months to go, rather another 2 weeks to go before end of June, and then 6 more months to go. So, and then also one of the other thing also I'm also very committed to do is also to help my team, because I do have a team, Dennis Lam Associates. I do have a team of people. The main thing I think, for all of you who are in the industry, I think you know, if you actually can make the people that in your team, if you can make the people in your team succeed, that kind of satisfaction is something that you can be a top producer yourself. But let's say if for example, if your team doesn't reach their own goals itself, right? Then this is something that as a team leader, as a team manager, for us, we have the responsibility. We constantly have to improve not only ourselves but also them, right? So this one of the things I feel that is very important when you enter the industry and you start building a team, right? Okay, I think I've pretty much shared what I wanted to share, right? Because this is just a story of how I entered the industry and how it's been so far. So basically, thanks for tuning in to this session. Thanks to everyone in here who is watching. I will come on live next time for another topic. So till then, thanks for taking time to hear me. Good night. Bye.